Okay, so we're looking now at the left reverse exercise. What we're going to do here is use this corner in front of us to drive past and reverse round. If you got this on the test, he would say, drive past the road in front and stop the other side, reverse round into the road, or the opening as they sometimes call it for some reason, reverse a reasonable distance down the road, keep reasonably close to the curb. Now by reasonably close to the curb, I mean about where we are at the moment, if you can see that in the door mirror. So that's about the perfect distance. Then the examiner will just say drive on when you're ready. He won't give you any further instruction. Okay, so Al's just now going to get us ready for that. He's going to stick us in drive, and he's going to make the check over the right shoulder, which of course is a normal moving away procedure, and then he's going to just position himself the other side of the turning. Okay, so what we're looking at here is anybody that can be affected by the manoeuvre, so we're going to look into the road to check that it's safe to reverse first, which of course it is. We're going to make sure we're not too wide. We're going to stick a left signal on because there's somebody behind us, making sure that we're not going to be too close. To go about as far as the driveway. I'm just looking at the gap. There we go. A little bit further down if we can. About there is fine. So a couple of car lengths past the turn is what you're looking at. You can just see the turning behind me in the mirror there. Okay, so the gap looks fine. That's again roughly the sort of gap that we want. Okay, so next in, Al is going to stick us into reverse. There he goes, and he's going to check around before he begins to reverse. And now what he's going to do is going to line the back of the car up. So we're looking at the rear door handle here. You can see the rear door handle and the front door handle. We're interested in the rear door handle. Again, it's not really very clear to see in the mirror, but if I just zoom in a little bit, I'll see if I can get it for you. And what we're trying to do is, below the rear door handle is the top of the rear wheel arch. So we're looking at that sort of area there. And I'm going to keep that zoom on there, and then what I'm going to get Al to do again is just check all around for us before we start. And what he's going to do is try and place that car in the correct position. So we can see the corner, which is quite good, and we can see where the back of the car is below the rear door handle. A bit more difficult for me to see in the camera, but I would say that we're probably about there, I would think. Let me just put that away and see if I agree. Yeah, I agree with that on that correct position. Now, of course, all corners vary. You've got varying degrees of curve. This one is pretty much a standard sort of curve, or what we call a sweeping curve. So all we're going to do here is we're going to start, which is always the best thing to do really, is, you know, have a template. What we want to do as a template is half a turn of the wheel. So half a turn to the left. So Al's going to do that now. Now the idea being is that hopefully we can go around the corner and it'll be perfect. But of course in reality it doesn't always work like that. So we might find that we get closer to the curb. Now what we would do, we would steer to the right should that happen, but we don't want to leave that too late. Okay, so if it starts to close up from the gap that we've got at the moment, we would need to steer a quarter to the right, and that would pull the car away from the curb a little bit. Consequently, if it starts to go too wide, we would steer a quarter to the left, which would put more steering on. But we'll start with that half a turn, again, because we've a little bit of a chat there about what we're going to be doing. We'll have another look round before we start. Of course, we are aware there's a car just coming from the front. Okay, and then so we start to bring the car around. So what Al's going to do, he's going to keep the car slow enough, and this is important to remember, because the observations are as important as the manoeuvre itself. He's going to keep the car slow enough that it's easy for him to check around while he's watching where his car is going as well. So the idea is, you can use the door mirror, but you don't want to give the examiner the impression that you're depending on it. Okay, yeah, so we've got a cyclist coming up behind us, so that's a good thing. He's just coming down the road behind. There he goes into the turn. He's come up on the path, he's now going past us. There he goes. Okay, so that's it. We have a look all around before we start. That's good. And then we continue with the manoeuvre. At this point, we're going to check, are we coming too close or are we too near? Looks perfect to me at the moment. Then I can just hold the camera down there. You can see what the car is doing. Hold it near the ordinary mirror. So what we're looking at is that gap getting bigger, or is it going to get closer to the curb? So what we also want to do while we're still in this road is check the road that we're leaving over our right shoulder. That's the one. Okay, and then I'll just have a look round there. Still nothing coming. I'll have a look round here with the camera as well. Nothing coming into the road that we're coming into. And we'll come back to the position that we're in here. So do we need any adjustment? I would say possibly maybe another quarter to the left, because you can see there, if we just pause for a second before Al does that, it's gone a bit wider than what we started. So let's turn another quarter to the left. There he goes, that's done. We'll check around again before we start, make sure it's still safe. Okay, and then we'll come back to the position here, and that should see and it might bring us in a bit too much, but we'll just keep our eye on it. Well, Al's watching it as well. I've probably got the camera in the way of what he's trying to do, to be fair, but it looks okay to me at the moment. That's it, keep that head moving. What's happening? We're okay. So what I would do there, I would pause there, because we're coming round nicely, but by the time we're parallel, which we can see we're not quite yet, we're going to be too close. So let's take that quarter off, go back to the original amount, which was the half. So I was going to do that. Maybe even take the extra quarter off, actually, so that we've taken half off. So another quarter off. So as you can see, we're still going to make left turning with the back wheels because we've got a quarter of turn onto the left. But we don't want to be in too sharp. So we've started with half. We're going too wide, so we put an extra quarter on. But now we'll end up too close, so we've taken a half off, which is from where Al's left hand is to his right hand. That's where the middle section of the steering wheel, that would be your big hand on your clock, for want of a better way of describing it, that's now half off. So initially we've only got a quarter on, which is a quarter of an hour less than what we started with. So we'll check around to check that it's safe to carry on. And I say that quarter of a turn should still be enough to bring us round. That should bring us around nice and parallel. So again guys, you can see by looking in the mirror the sort of gap that we're looking for. So we've got to go a little bit further yet. The traffic behind is being kind to us, nothing's come up behind us, and if we say pause there, so when you think you're happy that your position and you're parallel, that's when you pause. We know what steering we've got to take off. We've got a quarter to take off to straighten up. That's it. And we're going to check around that it's safe to carry on. Now what we need to do as we go backwards here is we need to, as I sometimes say, like a tennis match, just looking at the left door mirror and the back window, just like we're watching a tennis match as we come down the road, so that we're checking that nothing's coming up behind us, but we're also checking that we're not going off course. So just swapping between the observations there, so I'm just going to give you an idea what I was doing there. Is looking in the mirror, through the back window, back to the mirror, like he's watching a tennis match, with the ball being hit backwards and forwards over the net. So a reasonable distance up the road as we can with that van there. So we're going to stop there, because you can't really go any further unfortunately, because the van, I'll try and point the camera at, is a bit too close, so you know we don't want somebody coming up behind us, but you can get the general idea. We have come far enough down the road. There's the front view, there's the side view, but we are too close to the van at the back. Okay, so once you finish the manoeuvre, the examiner will expect you to go handbrake park. If he's happy, he'll say thanks very much, drive on when you're ready. So there's a left reverse for you guys.